welcome to Record Night. I'm Ryan.
Now, Chris.
And tonight, we're doing another review episode of Father John Misty's Chloe and the Next 20th Century. But before we get started, if you want to reach us on social media, we are on Instagram at Record Night Pod. We're on Twitter at record_night. We are on Facebook at facebook.com/Record Night. And we are on email at recordnightpod@gmail.com.
Newfangled email.
Yeah.
It's like you used to say, you got email? Now it's like, what's your email address? Because if you don't email, what the fuck are you anyway?
Yeah, and here's our beeper number.
Yeah.
But Father John Misty, tell us about, this was your pick for an album to review, so tell us about it.
I'm a big giant fan of Father John Misty. I've been following him since he was Father John. Before that, he was Josh Tillman. I didn't buy his records then, and they're kind of hard to listen to now. But anything he's done as Father John has been, to me, fantastic. He did start out Fear Fun, I think, in 2013. Fuck, I don't know. But no. But either Fear Fun, and then my a record that changed your life, I Love You, Honey Bear. Mm-hmm. Like someone asked me, what's a record that changed your life? There are several other ones, but that's on the list of things that have shaped me the way I am in 2022. And then he did two other records. One's called Pure Comedy, which is a big nihilistic mess of fun, and God's For Your Customer, which is, people really like. It's not my favorite one until Chloe in the Next 20th Century came out. Well, so Chloe in the Next 20th Century is Father John doing in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and some 60s sounding Hollywood type songs.
Yeah, it feels very kind of Hollywoody. It feels also kind of like Vegas-y.
Yeah, lounge singer sort of stuff, like very Hollywood.
Yeah, that's how the music feels, at least, is it feels very like referential of that kind of jazzy big band kind of thing. Which I will say, the music on this album is absolutely the weakest point.
Yeah. The lyrics are fantastic. Yep. I love all the lyrics of this thing.
I think they're honestly the only saving grace. Like, I felt like the whole album was kind of just this like mid-tempo to slow ballads that
just fall asleep to.
Yeah, it's all kind of like samey, and then a lot of the songs tend to go on for a little too long. Yeah, like when I listen to this without reading the lyrics, just like cruising in the car the first time I put it on to kind of get like a little bit of context before I really dove in, I was like, oh my God, this thing's 50 minutes long. I was not happy to be listening to it just on its own, but
the lyrics on this
are really
good. They tied together a little bit. Like I understand like hearing the lyrics, it goes along with the music a little bit. Like for example, Funny Girl, like all these songs sort of like come together when they're talking about, the lyrics sort of take place in LA, right? So you hear this music, it's sort of,
you do get that like vibe from it. Like you get kind of like a sense of place, I guess. Like it does feel like a very kind of like Hollywood album.
But the thing is like there's songs like Goodbye Mr. Blue, about the death of the kitty cat, which is sad.
It is sad, but he's, also kind of relating it to like a relationship and then thinking deeper on like, is this the last time, something's going to happen with a bunch of different things. Like I like the lyrics on that one.
I like the lyrics on most of these songs, except for strange enough, Olive,
Olvidado.
Okay. Thank you. Which is the least amount of lyrics in the record. And it's kind of like a bossa nova feel,
which that was like the only one that I was like, oh, I like the music on this one.
I actually fell for Only a Fool. I fell for the music for that. I'm like, it feels like at home, like an animated movie,
right?
I guess that's what I put it.
So the thing with this one is, it's like I feel like if he's kind of somewhere between like fully committing to it and not fully committing to it, where it's like if he did a full album that was like all these songs sounded like that, then I'd kind of get it. But there's a couple of songs here that just kind of sound like Father John Misty songs. And I was curious with some of the more like, orchestrated big bandy type stuff. I'm curious how long those songs are going to stay in this form. Like, it feels like he hasn't like fully committed to it, I guess. So it's like I give it one tour of the stuff being played straight, and then he's going to figure out how to just play it on acoustic guitar, and that's how it's going to be on future tours.
Yeah, and Goodbye Mr. Blue is the only song that I felt like sounded like a Father John of yore. And I'm fine with bands or with artists transforming and changing their sound. But I don't see this being a sustainable type of thing. This is definitely not my favorite musically.
Yeah,
but it's got some of the strongest lyrics I've heard from Father John so far. Honestly.
Yeah, and it's a bummer that the music holds it back so much, because I do really like the lyrics on here. They've got, his usual kind of like interesting, kind of biting, satirical, funny lyrics, but then he also has stuff that's like little vignettes that are interesting, and interesting lyrics amongst the vignettes, like the strangers. I can't remember.
We could be strangers.
Yeah, we could be strangers is
about really a car wreck.
Yeah, but it's like you think it's like a love romantic thing, and then it's like, oh, it turns out it's actually just two people slowly dying in a car wreck.
Yeah, I like the whole 20th century, the next 20th century, which sort of ties the whole record's themes together. Some might say, hey, this is. I'm still a fan of Father John. That wasn't. I mean, honestly, we actually coming around to some of the songs in this record. I find myself also humming them like they would love. But that's because I've been forcing myself to listen to it. But
I do think there's some like I said, the lyrics are good. Kiss Me, I Loved You was pretty good at this very like atmospheric piano ballad. Buddies.
I want to mention something real quick. When we pre-ordered the deluxe version of this record, it came with 2 7-inches. One by Lana Del Rey, where she covers "Kiss Me, I Loved You," right? And another one by it's David Lynch. Okay. He calls himself like Jack the Monkey or some shit like that. Jack Howler, I think. And I haven't listened to it yet because David Lynch he doesn't sing the best. You know what I mean?
He has a unique voice.
Yes, a unique voice, and the way that Bob Dylan has a unique voice. But but I haven't listened to it. I will. But he covers Buddy's Rendezvous on the 7-inch.
Yeah, which sounds, at least to me, kind of like an old Tom Waits song.
Yeah,
similar like lyrically too. And yeah, so I like that one. I like Olvidado just because I like the bossa nova. We Could Be Strangers, I think, has my favorite lyrics because it's like that little story that they trick you. And then Next 20th Century, I think, was the strongest musically because it has that little bit in the middle where it builds up and really kind of pays off. You get all the instruments doing something really cool. So I think that. And yeah, you get like a guitar solo, and then it all just kind of drops into like some really pretty strings. Like I think
that is more guitar solo. Yeah, a little dirty one.
That's more in line with what I think I would want most of the record to sound like. But it being so like referencing these older styles of music, it kind of comes off as like gimmicky. And like you said, it sounds unsustainable. Like it doesn't sound like, oh, I'm passionate about these kinds of music. It sounds like, what if I did a big band album?
Yeah, and that's I think my problem with it. Like I'm sure he likes that old American songbook stuff, and we all do to some extent, right? Like Sinatra. Who hates Sinatra? I'm sure there's some people. I'm not one of them, but I don't think that he's. I mean, you could be listening at home to this stuff. I just don't think he is. You know what I mean? Like so. It's interesting. It's almost kind of gimmicky. I'm sure Jay Tillman will be upset of us here to say this, which he won't.
Right. But also with this, I feel like this kind of music is like a well people keep like dipping into, where it's like if he was the first one to go back and do this kind of stuff, it'd be like, oh, that's interesting. But it's like, fucking Seth MacFarlane made Frank Sinatra music. Lady Gaga has done albums with like Tony Bennett. It's like, this isn't, some like kind of forgotten style of music that people haven't done. It's like people are still actively doing this kind of music. So it doesn't even come off as like, oh, this is a fun, like little thing that nobody's doing.
Like Father John does interesting stuff, but this just seems to be a tiny little branch on the Father John tree. it's a little disappointing. I'm still really excited to see him in August.
Yeah, I don't think this completely, ruins his career, discredits everything he does, because there are still a lot of interesting things in here, and I'll listen to the next album. Like this hasn't completely turned me off to him. I just do not like this nearly as much as Honey Bear.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be hard for him to beat Honey Bear. It's gonna be another life-changing record,
right?
But I'm still, and there are a lot of people that hate Father John. They think he's full of himself, and this will not change their mind. But yeah, that was a Father John's Chloe in the Next 20th Century. Again, if you are that interested, you can listen to it. It's at your local record store and all streaming services. So if you guys are one of those people that has a streaming service or buys records, it's easy to find.
Yep. All right, recommend you pay attention to the lyrics.
Yeah. Like go. Like the lyrics. I got the thing, so I can't help but see the lyrics. Yeah.
This one's not getting a recommend from me, I don't think.
All right, thanks for listening. That was our review of Father John, and we'll see you next time on Record Night. I'm Chris.
And I'm Ryan.
All right, good night, guys.